A young man applied for a job as a farmhand. When the farmer asked for his qualifications, he said, "I can sleep through a storm." This puzzled the farmer, but he liked the young man, so he hired him. A few weeks later, the farmer and his wife were awakened in the night by a violent storm ripping through the valley. He leapt out of bed and called for his new hired hand, but the young man was sleeping soundly. So they quickly began to check to see if all was secure. They found that the shutters of the farmhouse had been securely fastened. A good supply of logs had been set next to the fireplace. The farmer and his wife then inspected their property. They found that the farmer tools had been placed in the storage shed, safe from the elements. He sees that the bales of wheat had been bound and wrapped in tarps. The tractor had been moved into its garage. The barn was properly locked tight. Even the animals were calm and had plenty of feed. All was well. The farmer then understood the meaning of the young man's words. "I can sleep through a storm." Hi, this is the Joyfully Prepared podcast, and I'm your host, Wendy Bergen. And thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate it. And I would love it if you would just take a minute and subscribe to the podcast. That would be awesome. And if you're on an iPhone and on the episode, you can scroll down and leave a 5-star rating, which would be awesome. And also a lovely review would really be helpful. Thank you. So it is Tuesday, October. I'm not supposed, in podcast world, you're not supposed to put a date in what you're saying, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm breaking a rule today. Today is Tuesday, October 8th, 2024. And I am about 24 hours away from having the opportunity, the adventure of Hurricane Milton hitting the Central Florida area. And but by the time you hear this, it'll be over and I will have a story or two to tell probably on the other side of this. But right now, my goal is, or what this episode is for, is just to leave you with some of my reflections before the storm. And that plays into the story that I read at the beginning of the episode. So I'm not really a fan of hurricanes. I actually have a podcast titled, "I'm Not a Fan of Hurricanes." They're not my favorite thing. And on top of that, to double down, this hurricane will hit us right about the time it gets dark. And so the worst of it will come through in the night. So I'm really not a fan of hurricanes in the night, or as I like to call them, night hurricanes. Like, I'm so creative, aren't I? I'm just really not a fan of it. Not a fan of any of it. But I don't have a choice. Why didn't I leave? Why didn't we evacuate? Well, a couple of reasons. Number one, we didn't feel like we should evacuate. We felt as though we should stay here. I didn't feel any kind of compelling reason. I mean, the compelling reason is this is a big storm, but I really felt impressed that I needed to stay here and be available to serve other people in case they needed help. Number two, we're not a mandatory evacuation zone, and the officials, and again, I'll do whatever I want to do when it comes to evacuation or not, but they recommended that we stay so that those people who do need to evacuate, that they can be on the roads and that they can find the hotels or whatever shelter that they need. So those are the two reasons. But the first reason is my number one reason, that I don't feel like I should leave. Now, on the backside of the storm, I may come and say, that didn't work out so well, but I learned all these things. But I believe, I'll say this, the prayers, like I can feel the prayers that are coming. I can't feel them individually per se. And I was telling a friend of mine this too. There's two things happening. There is a authentic, genuine concern in the community. Floridians don't get scared of hurricanes. They mock hurricanes. They really don't get scared. This one has the people very concerned. They're anxious, and there's a vibe in the air of worry and anxiety. And I tend to pick up that feeling, and it's heavy, heavy. The people are very concerned. The second thing is the prayers that are pouring in just from people I know, people who reached out to me and said, "Are you okay? Can we do anything? We're praying for you." Thoughts, good wishes, all the things. I can feel those, but I can feel the world, the nation praying for our area, like trying not to cry. But there is an outpouring of concern, an outpouring of faith and love for our area. And I thank you for your prayers. And I'm thankful that I have this podcast to say thank you, because they are felt. I can feel them, and I know others can as well. And those that can't feel them, it's okay. They're still there working. And God is a mighty God of miracles, and He is good, and all things will work for our good. And that's I just wanted to say that right from the beginning. Those are some of the thoughts that have been on my mind regarding the overall sense of this experience. Um, so I have a couple things I want to say. I have a couple things I want to say. Uh, I'm definitely not smooth in my transitions, that's for sure. So, a couple things that have been on my mind. Number one, I just shared those few things with you. Those are vulnerable thoughts, and I appreciate you respecting that. And again, for your prayers. Number two, so we saw this disturbance or whatever this was going to be, a ways out, and keeping our eye on things. We had been we had been sideswiped by Hurricane Helene. Thankfully, we got heavy winds and a little bit of rain, and I literally call it a sideswipe. Like, we got some of it, but it wasn't, I mean, obviously not nearly as bad as lots of other places, but we were prepared from Helene, and we were watching the track, and so we were not nearly as concerned about that one as we are this one. Though, regardless if it's a category 1 or category 5, I pretty much prepare the same way. I don't mess around, because I don't know what weather's going to do. It could do something and flip on a dime, and you're like, "Well, I thought it was just going to be a little thunderstorm." No, it's a category 5 hurricane. So being prepared, whether it's a 1 or a 5, needs to be it what's the right word? It's imperative. It needs to be important that you're consistent across the board and be prepared in that regard. So we saw it coming. We've been prepared because of Helene, and then this 2-day longshoremen's dock workers strike that happened. That was also a wake up call, and I gathered a few things because of that. And it was only 2 days, thankfully, but I was able to bring more things in. So I see that strike as a blessing, because people took notice and went out and did some shopping to prepare. I'm also going to say something very controversial. Here I am saying it right now. I'm going to say this. I'm proud of the panic buyers. I'm proud of you. If you were one of them that went out because of this stupid strike that only happened for 2 days, but supposedly will resume in January, I don't know. I'm proud of you for going out and buying things because you were nervous and you felt like you should go get some toilet paper. I am very proud of you. At least you did something. At least you didn't complain. Well, you may have complained, but you did go out. You spent your hard earned money to be prepared. Good for you. That's what I have to say. I've seen a lot of people criticize the panic buyers. I do not criticize you. I applaud you, because at least you took your life in your own hands. Like, I mean that by, you went ahead and bought the toilet paper, the paper towels, whatever else was gone. I don't remember all the things. Sugar was something I couldn't get a hold of at Costco, for one. What was the other thing? I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Just saying, good for you. I mean, I have things like that in store, but I just thought, well, I might as well stock up, get a little bit more. You never have too much sugar or toilet paper. That needs to be a meme, maybe. I don't know. So good for you. So we had Hurricane Helene, the strike. These things actually provided an opportunity to prepare for Hurricane Milton that is coming in about 24 hours to the Central Florida area. So I see those as blessings. Anytime you have a catalyst to prepare, I definitely I see that as a blessing. Did you learn something? And that's what's I think that's what's very important as well, is that you're learning. You're like, whoa, I need to prepare. I need to stay alert. So my husband has his business. He has a remote business, so obviously he lives here, but his business is a lot is of it is up in Philadelphia, and so he flew out Friday, just a few days ago. Flew out Friday to be up in the Philly area for about a week. We had planned on it. He needed to go do a job, that kind of a thing. So I was like, okay. And we knew that this hurricane was going to be a hurricane, but really at the time on Friday, they were saying, it's probably going to be like a category 2. So I'm like, I can do that. My son is home. I have two, grown dog, not grown like out of the house grown, but they're not little babies. We can do this. And so that was the plan. So Saturday, my son and I, we kind of strategized a little bit. He went out and mowed the lawn, the yard, because you want your yard to be good and cleaned up and mowed, because it'll make cleanup a lot easier if you're not digging through tall weeds and grass, if you have to pick up limbs and other debris from a hurricane. So he did that, and I just kind of planned on things, but I had a lot of things swirling up in my mind, like, oh, we got to do this and this. And I went to bed and woke up Sunday morning, and my brain was just a swirling. It had a million thoughts going through it, like this and this. And I woke up around 7. And in the middle of all these swirling thoughts, and with that, my heart rate picked up a little bit. You start to get anxious. You're like, oh, kind of spin out a little bit. In the middle of that, I heard a thought, a voice, and it told me, gave me clear direction of what I was to do that day. Very clear. And the direction was, go get gas for your car, go get cash, and go get water. And then my son, he took my husband's truck and filled it up with gas. And then we had 6 5-gallon gas tanks, cans, and he took those and had those filled up as well. That was what we had to do that day. And so I got up, got dressed, I did piddle around a little bit, and I was out the door by like 8:45. And I was able to go. I went to the Circle K just up the road. I got gas, I got cash, and I did get some water there. It was a little too expensive. I did buy it. And then I just felt impressed to go across the road to where the grocery store is. I went in there, crazy busy, but I got some more water, some ice cream, because that's very important. um, I got, like I said, I got the water, I got the ice cream, and then some other things. In general, there was a lot of me that was just kind of wandering around watching. I took the water shelves. They had water, but they were basically empty. You know what I mean? I got some cases of water and some like mugs of water, jugs of water. Here's the reason why. I had a lot of empty space in my upright freezer, and if the power goes out and I need to keep my freezer frozen right inside, if I fill my freezer up with water, little water bottles, whatever, anything to pack that freezer full will keep that frozen food frozen longer. So my goal with the water was not only to get water, but to have it to put in my freezer. So that's what I did. That's the reason why I bought the extra water. And I just don't have, here's one thing that I realized that I don't have, and I don't have an answer for it yet, but I don't have containers to put water in. I don't keep milk jugs laying around. I don't really, I have some pitchers, that I can fill with water, but like to keep water, I don't really know. I'm not sure what to do about that. So I'm gonna ponder that. I have a water distiller, and there have been some people in the community who couldn't find distilled water for their babies and for their CPAP machines and whatever else they might need. And I said I'm happy to distill water, but I don't have any containers to distill water. I have my thing that distills into it, but I don't have anything just to keep it on hand. That's what I'm trying to say here. So I got to figure that part out. I'll let you know when I figure that out. It's not a dire need for me, but it's definitely something where I see could be a preparation hole. So I did that stuff on Saturday, and general some lots of laundry. Um Sunday, that was Sunday. That was Sunday. I did that, right? And then Monday, I got up, washed my sheets, changed my bed, and did some laundry. I took my daughter to school. She had to be there at 7, stopped by another grocery store to get more water. And you want to know, let me tell you this. I was surprised at this very popular hurricane food. Did not know this. And I've been through a few hurricanes now, both in Florida and up north, New Jersey and Virginia. So Chef Boyardee, ravioli in a can, SpaghettiOs, that kind of a thing. That is a very popular hurricane food. Like that shelf is wiped out. Those shelves, like it's a whole section wiped out, gone. Now I don't eat that kind of food, but evidently a lot of people do. Good for them. Good for them. Like I'm so proud of people for stocking up on things they know that they will eat. Good, good, good. That's fantastic. Okay, so that's what I noticed. And then I thought, well, let me go get some more cash. Went to the ATM. There's no cash in the ATM. So be aware that when you see them coming, go ahead and go out ahead of it, because you'll get the gas, you'll get the cash, you'll get the water, the things that you're looking for. It's not stupid. It's not naive. You're not foolish for being prepared like that. I can always put the cash back in the bank. I can always drink the water or use it in some way. My gas can, they're going to need gas anyway. I can always use the gas. It's going to be used anyway, right? So the food will always be eaten. You're not foolish to prepare. You're the opposite of foolish. You're extremely wise. You're extremely what's the word, like you have foresight. You're looking and you're identifying the fact that this thing could happen. Get ahead of the crowds. Get ahead of the crowds. Do that. And even better is have these kind of things always circulating in your food storage, in your preparations. Always have the water. Always have keep your gas. I always fill up to the best of my ability at a half tank in my car. Always fill up at that point. Have cash in your home. As much as you can have cash. Go back and listen to my podcast episode about having cash on hand. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting podcast episode, and the reasons why I talk about having cash. So have cash on hand. Have them in smaller bills. 20s and lower. Have that, because if the power goes out in stores, you will not be able to use your credit card. Your credit card might work, but the store cannot receive a card payment, a credit card or a debit card. Cannot receive that kind of a payment. So that was Monday. Monday I did laundry. I cleaned a toilet. Honestly, I kind of got a little overwhelmed Monday. Kind of felt a little overwhelmed. My husband did decide to come home early. Thankfully, he got in early this morning, like 3:00 this morning. And so he's back home, and I'm very thankful for that. That is a wonderful thing. So today has been more cleaning. I made banana bread because I had bananas that needed to be done something to. done something with. I don't know what is the right preposition for that. But I did that, made some banana bread, and I cooked a chicken in an instant pot. So I can either take the chicken meat and can it, which would be great on the shelf. I'm not going to start my freeze dryer because I don't know how long something will take at this point, and I don't want to kind of get in that gray area where the electricity could go out and my freeze dryer is in the middle of freeze drying something. So if I did any kind of preservation of the meat, it would be to can it, which I can do that. Which brings me to another point. So this is an interesting thought too. There are certain things. I mean, I'm a mom, and so certainly you're a mom or a dad, but you're a mom, and there's certain things that we as moms we just do, and maybe we didn't teach our kids to do. And that's another big gaping hole I'm seeing in my preparations. For instance, some days so I can chicken, I can can meat. I know how to use the pressure canner. I know how to can all this stuff. And my kids have seen me do it for years and years. But they don't know how to do it. That's a skill that only I can do in this house. Now I could walk them through it, sure, but I couldn't say, "Hey, will you go and can this meat for me?" Because that would sure be a burden if they would do that and I could go do other things, right? However, I have taught them how to clean the house. They know how to scrub toilets and vacuum and do dishes and things like that. So they can do those. They have those skills to be able to help me in that regard. And that is very helpful because you want to have a clean house when a storm like this hits. So, them cleaning is very helpful to me so that I can do the things that only I can do because I didn't teach them. That's that's a whole nother podcast episode, I think, about teaching your kids skills. But I'm gonna suggest this. This is a very interesting. So this kind of segues into something that may sound a little harsh. I often hear people say to me, "Well, if anything bad happens, I'm going to come to your house." And I smile and I'm just my eyes twinkle a little bit and I'm like, "You're welcome to come. Come on. Come on." And then I always say, "But bring your own toilet paper and tampons." Because I don't share those. That's just they all everybody's like, "What? You just said that out loud?" Yes, I did. Okay, so here's the harsh truth about that when people say that to me, and I do mean it. I do mean I of course I share, but if that's let me tell you something. My preparations are given to me from God and they're his, and so I do my best to share. That being said, I want if you're in a remote place and you can't get to my house, you need to know how to do things for yourself, right? But if something happened and there needed to be people come to my house, everybody's going to have to work together. You won't be there on vacation. That's not going to happen. I'm not going to be just cooking and cleaning and all the things providing. I know this sounds really harsh and I don't mean it to, but it is. It's just a harsh reality. If you're there, if you're here, you're going to have to work. Everybody's going to have to work because it's going to be stressful. The more skills you have, this is going to sound really funny. You're going to say, "Why did she say that?" But you'll understand. The more skills you have, the less poop you'll have to clean up. Because this is what I'm saying. If you can chicken, I'm going to put you in charge of canning chicken. If you can do this or you can do that, I'm these specialized type of skills, I'm going to let you do that. But if you don't have these skills, you will be the one cleaning the poop, like scooping the poop out of the chicken coop. You will be pulling the weeds out of the garden. You will be cleaning the toilets. Those are the things because anybody can do those skills. Anybody can do those chores, if you will. But there are specialized skills that only so many people can do because they took the time to learn. And that is imperative that you understand how important it is that you are You are very important. Your skills are very, very important. Being able to lift burdens from other people, being able to comfort, being able to clothe, being able to feed, very, very important. Um, Being able to love is a very highly um, needed skill in this world. Being able to comfort, to empathize, um, to be with, to sit with other people, very important. And I'm not just saying like there are people in this world, and I've said this, I have two daughters who are very good at this. They just came this way. They have an empathy for others. I've had to develop my empathy for others, and probably from that last little bit I just said, it doesn't sound like I've done a very good job. I try really hard to be loving and to kind and to be comforting and to be giving and generous and thoughtful. And I've had to work on that because it did not come. It didn't just come. I didn't come to earth just like that. Like it's something that I've had to work on. And hopefully I'm getting better and better at loving on people. But some people come already built that way. And I have lots of friends who are just these empathizers. They just feel and love and squish on people. And I'm so thankful for them in the world. So thankful. So understand there are different skills and there's specialized skills. Know what your skills are. Know what your personality is, what your energy's like. Learn new skills. Learn how to use a pressure canner. Learn how to garden. Learn how to sew. Learn just we're me too. I'm talking to me too when I say this. We're spending too much time being distracted by stupid things. Amen. Give me an amen. We are spending too much time being distracted by stupid things. That's going to be a meme. I'm going to just take that and slap it as a quote. And I'm going to just point a finger right back at myself. Yes, we are spending too much time being distracted by stupid things where we could be learning skills, we could be serving other people, we could be lifting burdens, we can be we can be instruments in God's hands to lift and love and feed and clothe other people. I've read this quote many times, and I want you to think about the story that I read at the beginning of the episode about the farmhand being able to sleep through storms. Can we see how critical self reliance becomes when looked upon as the prerequisite to service? Without self reliance, one cannot exercise these innate desires to serve. How can we give if there's nothing there? Food for the hungry cannot come from empty shelves. Money to assist the needy cannot come from an empty purse. Support and understanding cannot come from the emotionally starved. Teaching cannot come from the unlearned. And most important of all, spiritual guidance cannot come from the spiritually weak. And that's a quote by Marion Romney. Those words are so beautiful. Every one of us can continue to get better and better, stronger and stronger, to be able to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, to love on those who are emotionally starved, to lift, to teach. We can each get better. We already have a lot of these skills. All of us already do, especially those of us who are parents. We've got a lot of it. God gave us these little children and taught us through our kids how to become more skilled in teaching and directing and leading and guiding and loving. Thankful for our children. So thank you for listening. I encourage you to come and join my Facebook group. It's called Joyfully Prepared. Just go to Facebook and type in Joyfully Prepared and come join the Facebook group. And I wish you sweet dreams and a good sleep. That's my intention for the next couple of nights.